You ever wish you had a crystal ball, something to tell you what your sales are going to look like next quarter? Well, turns out you might not even need one. The real secret, it's already hiding in the data you have right now. Today, we're going to break down exactly how you can use that past data to forecast the future. And trust me, it's not magic, it's a science, a really powerful one. And we're about to dive into how it all works.
All right, so here's the game plan. First, we're going to talk about those hidden patterns that are the core of all forecasting. Then we'll get our hands dirty and break down data into 4 key pieces. After that, we'll put it all to the test with a real-world example, actually build a forecast from scratch, and wrap up with a little peek into what's next in the world of forecasting. Okay, let's get right into it. Every single business, I don't care what industry you're in, has this one huge challenge. How in the world do you plan for a future you can't see, right? I mean, we're talking about everything from how much inventory to order, to how many people to hire, to what your sales target should even be. Knowing what's around the corner, that's a game changer.
And that really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? But here's the good news. All those numbers you've been collecting, your historical data, it's jam-packed with clues. It's not just some random mess of figures. No, it's a story. It has a rhythm. It has patterns. It has a clear direction. The whole trick is just learning how to read it.
So what's our tool for the job? It's this thing called time series analysis. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a really structured way of looking at data that's been recorded over time. Daily sales, quarterly profits, that kind of thing. It helps us find the hidden patterns, the real story. It's how we're going to turn all that historical noise into a crystal clear signal. So how do we actually find these patterns? Well, we use a technique called decomposition. And honestly, the best way to think about it is like a detective on a case. They take a really complex situation and break it down piece by piece into its core elements. And that's exactly what we're about to do with our data. See, pretty much any piece of business data you look at, let's just call it X for now, is actually a mix of 4 ingredients. You've got trend, seasonality, cycle, and randomness, all multiplied together. And why multiplication? Well, think about it. If your business is growing, that seasonal summer spike in sales is probably going to get bigger too, right? It scales with the trend. Our mission then is to pull each one of these ingredients apart so we can see the whole picture clearly.
All right, first up, trend. This one's the big picture, the 30,000-foot view. Over the long haul, say a few years, is your business generally going up? Is it slowly heading down? That overall direction, that's your trend.
Next on the list is seasonality. These are the patterns that you can pretty much guarantee will happen every single year. Like ice cream sales going through the roof every summer or gym memberships exploding every January. It's a reliable, repeating cycle. It's a pattern you could almost set your watch to. Then you've got the cycle. Now this one sounds a lot like seasonality, but here's the key difference. It happens over a much longer timeline. We're talking several years. These are those big, wavy patterns that are often tied to things outside your business, like the larger economy going through a boom or a recession. They're definitely not as predictable as your annual seasons.
And last but not least, there's randomness. This is, well, it's all the unpredictable stuff. The static, the noise. It's everything that's left over after we've already pulled out the trend, the seasonality, and the cycle. It's the stuff that just kind of happens for no clear reason. And our job is to filter as much of that out as we can.
Okay, that's enough theory for now. Theory is great, but let's make this real. Let's actually watch this whole method in action. We're going to look at a case study of an engineering firm. They make farm equipment, and they need to figure out what their future sales are going to be by looking at their past data.
So here it is. This is their raw sales data quarter by quarter for 5 straight years. The numbers are in lakhs of rupees, which is just a unit for hundreds of thousands of rupees. Now, just looking at this table, the numbers are kind of all over the place, right? It's pretty hard to just eyeball it and see a clear pattern. But we know the clues are buried in there somewhere.
So how do we start digging for that signal? Step 1 is to smooth out the data. The way we do this is with something called a moving average. And it's not as complicated as it sounds. All you're doing is taking the average of 4 quarters at a time to kind of iron out those seasonal wrinkles, those predictable highs and lows. This helps us see the bigger picture. Then, by comparing our original sales to this new, smoother line, we can figure out just how much impact a specific season has. That gives us what we call a seasonal index for each quarter.
And voila, here's what you get after you do that. We take the actual sales, we apply that seasonal index we just figured out, and what we're left with is deseasonalized sales. Take a look at that column on the right. See how much cleaner that looks? It's a way clearer picture of the business's real performance now that we've basically surgically removed those predictable seasonal bumps.
Okay, so now that all that seasonal noise is gone, we can finally see it, the underlying trend. We run the numbers and we get this simple little equation. Now, what on earth does this mean? Well, Y is just our predicted sales. That 6.3 is our starting point, our baseline. And the 0.04x? That's the engine. That's the growth. It's telling us that for every single quarter that goes by, that's the X. The company's sales tend to grow by about 0.04 lakhs. This right here, this simple formula, this is the core growth pattern we've been hunting for.
All right, so we've done the hard part. We took the data apart, piece by piece. We found the long-term trend, and we figured out the seasonal rhythm. Now, it's time to put it all back together and actually build our forecast.
Let's do it. Let's try to predict the sales for the second quarter of 1988. So first we take our trend line formula and we plug in the numbers. That gives us a baseline forecast of 7.22. But wait, we're not done. We know that the second quarter always has its own little seasonal flavor, right? So we take our trend forecast and we multiply it by that Q2 seasonal index of 1.013. We're essentially adding the seasonality back into the mix.
And boom, there it is. The final forecast for Q2 1988 comes out to 7.31 lakh rupees. I mean, think about that. We started with a messy table of numbers that was really hard to make sense of. And by taking it apart and putting it back together, we've ended up with a solid, concrete prediction you can actually use to make business decisions.
Now, this decomposition method we just walked through, it is incredibly powerful. It's an amazing place to start. But what if you need even more accuracy? What if you're dealing with a really complex situation? Well, there are other more advanced methods out there. Let's just take a quick peek at what the next level looks like.
One of the big ones is called the Box-Jenkins methodology. Now, don't worry, we're not going to get bogged down in the heavy-duty math here. The main thing you need to know is that it's all about iteration. It's a cycle. You propose a model, you see how well it fits your data. You estimate it, and then you test it. And if it's not good enough, you go right back to the beginning and try again, refining it over and over until you have a super accurate forecasting model. It's a very rigorous approach.
So at the end of the day, what does this all boil down to? It shows that forecasting has nothing to do with having a crystal ball or some kind of psychic power. It's a discipline. It's about being a data detective, systematically uncovering the clues and patterns hidden in your past to make a smart, educated, and incredibly powerful guess about what's coming next.
And that really brings us to the big final question, the one I want to leave you with. Every single chunk of data tells a story. Every trend has a clue. So the real question is, what hidden patterns are just waiting for you to discover in your data? Thanks so much for joining me.